everybody and welcome to this January plan with me video. I already shared my yearly setup in my last video, so I will link it down below if you didn't see it, but in this video we will only focus on the first month of the year 2019. So I will start my planning from a cover page. I think this is a great way to see where a new month begins, and it also gives a chance for a little bit bigger artwork or drawing if that's something you like to do. So this month, I have to be completely honest, I was a little bit in a hurry to come up with a theme because I had so much to film on December, but what I tried to achieve was kinda Japanese or Chinese type of New Year. Like that was my first idea and inspiration for this month, so I wanted to have that kinda Asian culture vibe and also still a little bit wintry colors. I wanted to have some wintry trees with no leaves in here. So you can see that on this cover page I started to draw this an almost abstract drawing with some geometric shapes. There are these cool toned mountains in the back. Then I'm adding these two ornaments with Japanese characters hanging from the trees. But again, to be completely honest, I didn't really like how this turned out. I was actually struggling quite a bit because I had planned to use more water and color in some areas, but I tried to use my blending pen with water in the beginning with the mountains, and the paper started to break up really easily. So that changed my plans a little bit, and I wasn't really happy about where this drawing was going. But you know what? That sometimes happens when you're bullet journaling. You won't be happy about each page, and that's completely okay. So in this point, I was basically just doing what I could to save this somehow. I'm actually coming back to this picture in the very end of my recording, and I will add this big frame to surround the whole circle in the middle, and I think it made the situation at least a little bit better. So I decided to just leave it like that and be happy about it. Anyway, I wrote January in the following page with this fake calligraphy font, and I also added this small calendar where we can easily see the dates of the month later. But let's move on and try to create something nicer. So the next page will be for my monthly overview page, where I can have a bigger calendar for any important dates and events I will have on January. I always like to switch up my monthly calendar page, and this month I decided to go with this bigger, very minimalistic style of calendar. Then on the bottom right corner, I wanted to draw these black trees on this rocky hill. I actually got an inspiration for this drawing by looking through Chinese landscape drawings, and I ended up loving this style, and I wanted to recreate something similar for my January layout. So as you can see, I'm first laying down some base colors, and I'm being super messy with the colors on purpose. I want the blue color to kind of peek through slightly on the ground, and then I'm focusing darker colors towards the edge of the hill. Then I'm actually switching to my Tombow Fudenotsuke calligraphy pen, which I'm using to draw these trees. But you can use any black brush pens you have. I'm adding a lot of curves to these trees, and I'm almost making them crooked looking on purpose. I think these ended up looking like bonsai trees a little bit, so I think you could use a picture of those as your reference if you're having a hard time drawing these. But I'm also connecting some of the black color to the ground, and I'm really trying to create that messy, rocky appearance to the ground part. You don't have to be precise with the leaf parts either. First, I was trying to mimic almost shapes of clouds, and then I just made these very small vertical strokes to create that leafy appearance. And after the drawing is done, we have this super minimalistic page, but I actually ended up liking this style a lot. Then let's move on to the next page, and this will be for my monthly focus on January. So I usually like to come up with around 3 things I want to focus in a certain month. I think it helps me to concentrate better and come up with some actual steps or things I want to try out or just really focus on. So I had pretty rough end of the year. I was so busy. So the first thing I want to focus on is to just recover, actually take some time for myself. So I want to write and draw more. And then the last thing I want to focus on is my Japanese studying I'm doing on my own. So for you, these things could be about anything, and then you can see me leaving some room for actual goals or steps related to these focus areas that I want to complete this month. Then let's move on to the following page, and this will be for my habit tracker. If you have seen my previous videos, you know I always had very similar habit tracker, but actually this month I'm trying out something at least a little bit different. So on January, I'm only choosing 6 important habits I want to focus on tracking, and I'm making these small symbols for each thing, and then under those I'm doing these small dot calendars indicating the days of the month. So every time I will do a certain habit, I will draw a bigger black circle on that day, and I hope this will end up looking really nice in the end of the month. I think the borders are the ones that really brought this whole spread together, and I think it looks nice in its own simplicity. Then let's flip to the next page, and this is something I will bring back from a long break in my bullet journal. So this whole spread will be for 2 lines a day thing, where I can write a quick overview of each day. So basically this is like a small daily diary. I think it would be a good idea to try out something like this, especially if you are struggling with keeping up with your bullet journal. So maybe a spread like this could help you to form the habit to write in your bullet journal every day. You could do it, for example, in the evening before going to sleep, or in the morning, whatever suits best for you. Anyway, this page is pretty self-explanatory, but I did draw another tree branch with these Japanese New Year prophecy cards that Japanese people often tie in a tree or somewhere in the shrine. But yeah, there's not much else to say about this spread, so let's keep going. The next 2 pages will be for my first weekly page on January, and I'm actually starting my weeklies from the 2nd week of January because I will be traveling for the first whole week, and definitely I won't need any kind of to-do list while I'm doing that. So again, I wanted to keep this spread super simple. I kind of realized that this whole monthly theme turned out to be pretty minimalistic, but I find that that's sometimes nice style to try out. And then I decided that in case some of you might want to try out an Asian culture inspired theme, so I'm showing you very quickly how you can write the weekdays in Chinese characters. These are actually super simple, so even if you don't know any Chinese or Japanese, I'm sure you can recreate these characters. The one for Friday is probably the most complicated one, but if you just look how I'm doing the strokes and in which order, I think you can copy this pretty easily. Then I'm showing you how I'm actually using these characters in my weekly page to indicate the weekdays, and you know, this might be a fun idea to try out and maybe spice up your weekly spreads a little bit. For me, these pages always get filled up with everything later, so I like to keep them pretty simple like this. But then I'm leaving some empty spreads where my other weekly pages will go, and then in the end I'm setting up my January review page. So this would be another thing for me that definitely helps me to have more motivation to actually keep up with my bullet journal. So in the end of each month, I always try to set some time to review the past month, think about some things I achieved, how I did on my focus areas I said earlier. This month I have this category for highlights and one thing I learned, and I found this kind of page to be a good habit to fill in before jumping to the next month. But then on the last empty page of my January layout, I wrote this kind of funny quote by Thomas Edison himself, which says, I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that don't work. I don't know, for me this was somehow a super positive note, especially after I felt like I failed the cover page totally and my theme wasn't the best this month. And I thought maybe this would also be encouraging for those of you who might be struggling a little bit with your first bullet journal spreads. Remember that persistence always pays, so even if you didn't succeed this month, just try to be okay with it and let's move on to the next month with some positive energy. And yeah, maybe that's the note I wanna end this video on. Even if I kinda struggled a little bit this month, I still ended up having some spreads I like and I'm excited now to fill those in. And remember that if you did like this video, I would be super happy if you could consider subscribing to my channel if you're not already. That way you can stay tuned for all the bullet journaling videos I will have on this channel in the future. But that's that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope all of you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are. And see you in my next one. Bye bye.